Andrew, I mean, just to start, maybe I'll give you like how I'm thinking about this
Yeah.
partnership and why I think it's so epic, and then you can tell me why it's even more epic than that. But just for everybody who probably has read about this, so we have this exclusive data partnership with Nielsen IQ. For me, I've been using Nielsen for years. I think it is an amazing data solution for everybody. I've used it at huge companies, and I've also used, bought Nielsen data just for really specific purposes before. And they were always just so great to work with, super flexible and responsive for all of these different things that I needed, that I was really excited to try to, have a real partnership. And the world of data is like, it's been barricaded for only these big brands, the incumbents that, we're all trying to get share from. And, I think that, oh, sorry, my dog wants to come in. Oh, there we go. All right, sorry. So.
Don't worry, all the same thing. My dog's gonna be on the other side of the door in a minute.
I told her we were starting at 3. I don't know why, she's 2 minutes late. Okay, so yeah, I mean, historically, you need these subscriptions from companies that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars or to make big purchases. There was no like, can I get a couple little bites of data? And now through this program with Nielsen IQ, where they've launched Byzzer, you can get that now. You can get small, kind of like right-sized pieces of data. And I think, most excitingly, and the reason why we got, 220 registrations for this demo today are because actually Nielsen IQ and Byzzer are opening this up to give startup CPG brands in our community 2 free reports. And if you don't have any data and you can get 2 free reports of data, this is incredible. Me, for example, I get one of my reports is a weekly email that just comes to me telling me the current size of the category that I'm interested in across the entire US, the top couple brands, and if they're growing or shrinking, by how much, and what are the top cities as well. And that is really helpful to me because I'm thinking about my launch strategy around the country. So those are a few things that I love about it. Super customizable. Just buy the thing that you need. Don't buy, the whole thing just to get the one piece that you need. What do you think, Andrew? What did I miss?
That was good. That was good. Yes, I mean, I'm really excited about it. The whole genesis and the background of Byzzer was exactly like you mentioned, was to help small and medium-sized businesses thrive, like to compete, like we haven't competed before, which is a lot of these capabilities were the big players, right? You had to have analysts, you had to have data scientists, and then you had to be able to purchase the data. So if you could get the data, great. And then you had to download, and that could be hundreds of thousands to get. And then on top of that, you had to have all the time and the energy to actually get insight from it. And so that doesn't work.
I agree. Having been that analyst, I agree. I don't want to do that anymore. I just want the data.
Yeah. So that's where we try to take it to the next level to say, okay, we know we need to provide the data in a way that's totally different, but also get to insights, because if you're a startup and you've got a small team or you're a medium-sized business, you don't have 6 analysts who are ready to jump into that data. You need to get those insights at your fingertips right up front, and you need relevant information, then you need it contextual. So that's where we kind of launched Byzzer to be purpose built for startups and small, medium-sized businesses, and then to create alerts and reports and all these other insights on top of it, and then do it in a way with kind of subscription models that work, right? With like monthly fees versus massive upfront costs and things like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's a super nice thing that you guys are doing for us. I know everybody is excited to get to the punch here. So again, just to summarize here, basically through this partnership, we have this link that brands in our community can use, and you can get 2 free reports, which is awesome. I mean, you should be able to get a lot of dollar value out of that for free. And so Andrew was kind enough to join us just to let's make it super easy for us just to see. I think it is already really easy, but let's do it together. It'll be fun. So Andrew is going to take us through how you can actually create these reports and get them sent to you for free. Let's do it. Show us the data.
Let's have some fun here.
The data.
So let me know when you can see my screen.
Got it.
All right, cool. So this is Byzzer.com. So first off, anyone can come to this. Is our public website. There's a specific page that, as part of our partnership with Startup CPG, that is just Byzzer.com/Startup CPG, and that's where you can get the free access and get the reports. So you can click in there, you'll get an extra report included, and there's a discount code, that comes with it. So just kind of call out that page, right off the bat. But on the rest of Byzzer.com, this will kind of take you through a bit more of, what is the product. And at the very end, I will go through just the sign up process, because we have questions on like, all right, how do you do it? If there's an issue, who do you reach out to? Any of that kind of stuff. But again, what is Byzzer? So think of it as a couple components, but first off is this concept around alerts, and I'll jump in and actually show you what this looks like. The concept here was to do a lot of proactive work. So if I was an analyst, what's a lot of the insight work that I would do to share to my manager or the leadership team? That's what we've built into the alerts, and then that gets sent directly to your inbox every week. When you sign up for free, you're automatically going to get one alert every week. So that's on top of the reports that you can run data. You'll get an alert to your inbox. So the idea there is it's proactive. It gives you some quick intelligence. You get it on your mobile, and then from there you can jump into the platform and then go deeper into the data. And then once you're in the platform, that's where you can start to go into various reports, whether it's things like performance reports, or you want to look into promotional activity if you're doing any of that, or just overall how your assortment's doing. So I'll actually show you what those alerts look like, because I think that's one, it's something you'll get for free, and two, it's really cool. And a lot of clients just frankly love them. So I'm going to show you my live email, because these get sent to your inbox, and these are some that I recorded from or saved from March. Now, this is my live email, so bear with me. I've got a lot of emails I got to catch up on. You may have things pop up here, but I'm being super transparent. So we've got a couple of different alerts here, things around pricing, distribution, market share, market performance. I'm just going to show you two of these to kind of really bring it to life. I'm like, Andrew, what is this alert concept that you're talking about with Byzzer? So this is what it would look like. You as a client or a brand would set this up, meaning you can configure to your brand, category, and market definition, the alert for pricing, and then it would come to you with similar information. In this case, it's Hostess Bagels, but it'd say something along the lines of like, hi, Jim, hi, Daniel. Hostess Bagels, average price is $3. It's up a certain amount versus the prior 4 weeks, causing your ratio of competitors to change. And then it's going to provide a little bit of context. So it's not just like, hey, your number is 4.2 and it went to 4.3. Okay, great, thanks. It's going to give you a little bit of context about what that means. Increase in your ratio means X, Y, and Z. And then, hey, there's probably another report that you want to go a little bit deeper into. If so, that's the one we recommend. And then in the alerts, we'll often start with some higher level, just category information, right? What's going on with the category? In this case, it's about pricing. So the pricing for bagels is X, it's down a certain percent, the average promoted price, the volume, and then we'll go into specifics around like your competitor pricing. So unique to you within your market or retailer that you want to focus on, who are your competitors? What's changing week over week? And in this case, it's going to show you the brands with the biggest increase, the brands with the biggest decrease. And you can see, okay, I've got some big changes taking place here, and decide, in that next conversation with retail, do you want to make any decisions?
So for me, though, I get a report that's really similar to this, but it's about dollar share, like how many dollars are the top brands selling. But actually, I mean, the pricing is, you may not think it's relevant right now if you're a pretty small brand, but I think a lot of us believe that a lot of people are about to raise price in CPG just because of the increase in demand, shortage of supply, like for a lot of factors. And that's a kind of report that would give you a heads up as it starts to happen, maybe help you make some decisions.
Yep, for sure. And here's just a couple more just to flash up here would be, this is one that's around market performance, and I'm not sure if that's the one you have. I'll try. There's a couple here. So this is going to give you some quick insights about what's taking place with the market, the category. What are the largest markets that are growing specific to your category that you're focusing on? What are the quickest growing markets that maybe that's interest of where you want to try to push your product into? And then what are the markets with the biggest declines? And then how's your brand performing? And then what are some of the largest brands? What are some of the highest growth brands? So kind of some of these quick high level trends that could be taking place. And then one last one.
I wonder why do you think the New York market is declining on cookies so much?
I don't know. You think that the COVID buildup.
It doesn't tell you the why, it just tells you how much.
And this is one here on distribution. This is something that all of you would be really focused on, which is just what's taking place with your distribution at the store. Is it going up or down? Are there any issues or risks that you might have to your business? So this is some higher level, but then we get specific into what's taking place with your markets and retailers that you're in. And this is where if you saw like a share drop in your distribution, right? Like that's an immediate call up to your retailer, to your broker, and have a conversation. And so that's again, staying ahead of, this is not waiting for you to go run a report, right? This is popping up to your inbox on this alert, unique to you.
Love it. So, so you guys can get like basically it's probably 2 alerts I think you can get for free based off this link that we have through this partnership. And that's 2 more alerts than you're probably getting right now. So that's
Yep.
good.
Yep. And those alerts, so I showed you my live email there. Those are also right directly in the product. So I just jumped right into the product here. Those alerts are available here, and then you could view the report to go into more detail. And I'll just quickly show you. So some of you probably have already signed up. Like I think we've got a good number of people that have already signed up for free. And just what that configuration looks like when you go to set up an alert, you go to your profile, configure a new alert, and you'll have a couple options here. You won't have the full list that I'm showing you here, but you will have some of them. And I'll select one of those here, like the distribution or this brand trend. What you would do is you would look up, your brand. I'm going to go with Birch Benders, which has some cool pancake mix, and it's kind of in the keto paleo world. They've got some breakfast mixes and things like that. You would select kind of your brand and category in multiple combinations. You could also get an alert on your competition. Like if you know there's one brand that you're really trying to vie for, or maybe there's like a category leader who you're trying to kind of keep pace with. You could put those names in as well. And then this is where you'll select kind of your market, which is what level alert do you want to have? Do you want to have kind of a US view, really comparing yourself across the board? If so, total FMCG, that's going to bring in a broad swath from a channel standpoint. If you want to look just at grocery or just at convenience or liquor, you could do that. Or if you want to get really specific and say, I just want to get an alert, you just got into Albertsons, or you're trying to get into Albertsons, or any one of these retailers here, you could specify the alert to be at that level. So very specific, which is more insightful for you. So in many ways, as a startup, as a client, you're in the driver's seat of, how detailed do you want the information and how relevant to you. Or you can stay at a regional level or a state level with some of the selections here.
And so through this link, you guys will be able to get basically 2 reports set up for free. If you want all of these other things and different reports on different retailers, different categories, obviously this is a product that has a subscription service and there are different options here. So good to think carefully about, what's the thing that you probably need first for free to get, and then, sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
No, you're good. So that's a real fast run through of the alerts, just that concept of how it's doing some of the hard work for you. It's trying to keep you a little bit ahead of what's going on rather than waiting for you to mine, into the data. Then once you come into the platform, again, for free, there'll be 2 reports here. I'll highlight one of them, and then I'll show you a couple of the other kind of cool reports that you'll be able to see.
Andrew, we had 2 questions come in. The first is from Jennifer asking, can you see just competitive share or your own share as well? It seems like from the example you showed, you can just set that as your share also by selecting your own brand.
Yep. You can see just your share. If you did like a market share alert, just yourself within the category. And then you define, definition of share. Is it from like a US view, total, broad, or do you want to see your share in a specific region or a specific retailer? You would be in the driver's seat to determine that alert.
And then the other one that we got is, which channels are included or excluded? Is natural channel covered? I know Whole Foods is in here, which is awesome. Can you tell us what is in there, what isn't?
Yeah, I will show you guys. we'll do it live. So if I was going into like a market share alert as an example, or I'll go back here. I'll do the same brand one. So I'll select that same Birch Benders if that was my brand. And then go into the next view. So what's pretty great about this is the way that we built Byzzer. We want it to be really broad, meaning you're going to get access to all retailers, all key account data that Nielsen has. The only variation would be the ones that we have prior approval. So like Walmart, you need to have prior approval from Walmart. That's part of the data sharing agreement, or ones that specifically require a revenue share back to them. Walmart's another example of that. There's only about 6 or so that require that. Aside from that, all of these retailers and all of these channels by default would be available to you. So all of drug, grocery, I happen to select a brand that is Birch Benders, so it's not a liquor, but you'd be able to go to liquor or pet stores, neighborhood retail, all the grocery, all the drug. that you see here. So I think that's a big, game changer. Historically, we would meter off, and every one of these retailers could be a driver of price. What we're saying at Byzzer is like, look, let's keep it really simple. You get access to everything. Only when you have to get approval, like a Walmart or a special rev share with Walmart, then you have to go down the path of, that's a follow-on once you purchase. Yep, so you have access to all of these here. I'm going through these really fast, but if you sign up for free, you'll just be able to see this, right? You can kind of go through the list and see the different retailers that you would have access to, and those are just grocery. And likewise, you could go into drug and see if you have the drug, or mass military, you have access to convenience, pet, liquor, and then you'd have access to all of Nielsen's major markets, all the divisions, all the regions. If you're in liquor, all the state lines could be really important for you. All of those will be available across your alerts as well as the reports.
Great. And we got a couple more coming in. Like, people are getting excited. So one person asked, is it if the reports are just one at a time? And I think it sort of is, and maybe you could do more, but that might be part of the overall solution, right? Like, if you're talking more getting into a subscription.
Yep. Yeah, so the two reports that you'll be able to run them once for a specific, category, a specific market of your choosing, in a specific time period. And then that'll be that. I mean, you run it once. You'll be available to, download it and filter into it at any time. And I'll actually just segue right into it and show you this. So I'll run a report for you. This is one that will be available to you for free here, which is the category and brand trend. What you'll see here is next to every report, there's a information icon. That's going to tell you a little bit about that report. Just explain in very simple terms, what is the report? What are the facts? What are the measures? And what information can you get out of it? And then it will also give you a full visual. I'm going to close my window here because we got some crying kids outside. And so that's a kind of a quick visual on what you would see. And then I can go back here and we'll click let's run this report. So something we've done here is try to make this as simple as possible. So when you go in to run a report, what you'll see here, if you happen to have a subscription, in this case, maybe it's 1,000 reports, whatever it might be, it will show you, if I go through, this is going to be, one less report. I'm going to select a brand, in this case, Birch Benders. I'll select a category that's important to me, breakfast mix. I could add in various filters, if, for instance, as Birch Benders, I might be interested in just like an organic view of my product, or if I'm doing, a specific segment or a pack size, you could do that. Generally run this maybe at the category level. I want to see total breakfast mix or total pancakes. Click next. Very similar to alerts. This is where you would set kind of what's that level that you want to see your information on. In this case, it's a category view and a brand trend. So I'm going to see myself. I'm going to see the category. Do I want to see that across the US? Do you want to see that in a specific retailer? You're in the driver's seat here. I'm going to say, let's look at it across the US and just see how I'm doing from a sales standpoint. And then I've got some quick selections here. Show me the last 52 weeks. I want to look at the year. We've got 3 years of data in Byzzer. So you can go back multiple years if you want, or if you want to look at the last 13 weeks, etc. Or you can go custom and say, show me, 2019 or 2020, you want to see what happened. You could do that with this custom selection. I'll do the quick selection here, latest 52 weeks, generate my report, and this will start running here. Most of these reports will run in about 5 to 10 seconds, so it's pretty snappy, which we love. And then all the reports that you run will be available in the platform for anyone else who's part of your company, part of your team to view, and they can re-engage with that data at any time. So basically, I selected a category, breakfast mix. I selected a brand, Birch Benders, and my market and time period. And then what I'm getting back here is a view of sales. So my brand sales, the trend on a 4-week period. And I can see this trend here in comparison to the gray line, which is the category. And then you'll really start to see some of the power here, which is I'm starting to see sales by week. So it's not monthly data, it's by week that this is refreshed, but I'm seeing weekly breaks here. And then all the way down to what your sales are by week. Again, this was for US view, a total FMCG view, but you could do this for Whole Foods as an example and just see your sales on Whole Foods or Albertsons or whatever it might be. So you get your sales, here's July, going down the list here, sales, share of category, percent share, unit sales, what are your distribution points, what's the velocity, and what's the change year over year. So you're getting some pretty granular data with some good visualizations here above to see how you're trending relative to the category. If you're growing faster than the category, that's a great story that you can tell into retail or to your investors. And then all of this you can take down. So if you want to play with this in Excel, come up with your own visualization, it's really easy in Byzzer. We want to give you flexibility. So you just hover over here, click download the data. You can take it down to CSV or Excel, and then take down all the rows of data on your end. Now, the other advantage here is, you've run this, but maybe you want to drill into, like I was mentioning before, just the organic component of your products or the category, or you only want to compare yourself to a specific claim or a certain characteristic or pack size. There's hundreds of characteristics from Nielsen that can really define and drill into your data or the category and make this really more specific to your story that you're trying to tell. Because from working with all our clients, telling that story to retail, telling that story to investors is the crux of this. Then you'd apply those filters and you can continuously reprocess that data.
We had a question from Melanie about, can you just get category data instead of picking a brand? It seems like you can pick a brand there, but it's also going to give you the whole category data.
Yep. Yeah, you can get category data. There's a couple of different reports. So of the 2 reports, that's one of the free ones that's going to show you that view there. You could get total category, just the category number and what's the trend. You could get a view of just showing me all the brands within the category. So I'll show you that here as an example, which would be more of a brand rank. And so I'll do those same selections here. And this is going to be more of one of the go-to views that you would want to use. And we'll look across the US. Actually, I'll look specifically into Whole Foods. Let's look at Whole Foods specifically. And you can go in any of the regions of Whole Foods as well. All that's available out of the box. And then this is going to give you a view of the whole category, what the sales are year over year, and then a brand ranking. And now, Daniel, I'm gonna open the door because actually my dog's whining, so I'm gonna let her in. You're gonna see her.
Okay, I'll read out another question or two while you're doing it, and I think actually this is going to answer one of them. So somebody asked, well, a couple people I think who joined late asked how can they access this. So you have to use our custom startup CPG link, and I think you have it on one of your tabs up here at the top, but I think it's Byzzer.ai/startup CPG, right?
Yep, you got it right here.
Sorry, Byzzer.com/startup CPG, and if you go in through this, this lets brands in our community get 2 free reports.
Yep.
And you can see the promo code down there also, the startup CPG with a hyphen in it.
All right, so I'm just showing now that brand ranking. So that ran pretty quickly here. So looking at the category, I can see that the sales are 17 million, specifically in Whole Foods. I was going down, viewing a specific retailer. I can see the year-over-year sales, the unit sales, as well as the velocity. So I get a high-level view into what's taking place. And then I can also see in more detail here the brand ranking. So this is really important. So this is going to give you a view into how your brand is doing relative to competitors. So I can see here the Simple Mills, I can see private label. I can start to see a segmentation of what's considered best in class, and then a sales rank here, some sales numbers, unit sales. And so this is going to help tell your story, right? And this performance rank is actually got some smart math here, does some of the hard work. It's the same way that Nielsen works with retail and how we kind of coach retail to look at brands about who to bring in on store. And so it's a combination of sales growth, distribution, velocity. And so that's kind of a holistic view into, is the brand punching ahead? You might not be the biggest player in the category, but you might have a higher performance rank. And if so, that's a great story because it's showing that you're growing fast for the distribution you do have. So for a lot of startups and small brands, something really important to look at is your velocity. So your dollars per distribution point. that's going to help say, again, if you're in a few stores, you may not be the big player, you may not be national, but where you do exist, you're punching much higher and you're driving a lot of sales and a lot of growth. So that's part of that key story that you can tell with some of this data within Byzzer.
Okay, cool. We're getting a couple questions from people who are like, pre-launch, like, what should I even ask for? What's going to be relevant to me? I mean, for me, because I am kind of at that stage of my new business, the category stuff is the most interesting to me. I think some of the other stuff is going to be too detailed. I'm going to want to know basically at a macro level, at the total kind of grocery level for my category. I can run that, that report, the one, I think it's by market then, and that's going to tell me total category, who are the top brands, are they growing or shrinking, and then what are the top markets, and then what are the fastest growth markets. I like that one a lot to start.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you want to go deeper, so that's where you can start to go into what we call an item rank. So that's maybe one where you can take more action. So brand information, but you might want to go into specific pack sizes. And so I'll just run this one here so you can start to see some of the power. Again, there's only 2 of these reports are going to be available: the category, brand trend, and one other. But these are available, if you want to buy these individually, or there are subscriptions. So just want to kind of highlight this because there is quite a bit of capability here. Within this one, at an item level, you can start to add in a lot of details around, like, I want to look at calories or pack sizes or certain segments. So again, this is part of the value that historically you'd pay a lot of money to get access to this characteristic data, but we're giving, essentially part of out of the box access within the package. So I'll look at natural, I'll look at some of these other different capabilities here. I'll select a few more of these. All right. And then we'll run this. I'll do this at the US level. Actually, we'll keep with the Whole Foods theme.
Somebody else had asked about natural and independence. I think basically Whole Foods is what you can get through Nielsen, which is amazing because they have an exclusive arrangement with Whole Foods to get the data. Smaller naturals, independents, unfortunately not available through the data set.
Yeah, there's not as many. There are a few. So we do have some co-ops that come into the data. But yeah, Whole Foods is by far going to be is 30% of the natural channel to begin with, and that'll all be available here. All right, so this is going to start running. This will start pulling back some additional data here.
We had another question. People in our space ask, when we say velocities, this has dollars per total distribution points. We use the language a lot of units per store per week as velocity. I know it's not in this report. I think you guys just don't have that metric in there. I know it's possible through Nielsen, but I think not through this portal. Right? I don't know if you have anything more to say on that, or I mean, if it's maybe we just log our request again to have that.
Yeah, look, we love the input. So what we're constantly adding, I'll say, is more facts and features to these reports, into the capabilities. So dollars per store, we do have some reports that will show dollars per store per week. That's actually something that we're going to be adding in. But yeah, so again, a good thing about Byzzer is we're a really agile team. And so what you'll have seen is that if you're in the early days of Byzzer, the progression of the platform in just a couple months is pretty astounding. And a lot of these reports are based on feedback from clients.
Cool. When we get something for free, we like to start complaining about it as soon as possible.
No, all good.
Count on us.
All right. So what you can see here now is all the way down to item level data. So I can see here a segmentation of what we consider best in class versus average versus bottom. I can see sales, unit sales, and now I'm going to go all the way into the specific items. And we're always going to show the brands, your focus brand first. So all your specific items here, the UPC, and then all the characteristics. I'm actually going to let my dog back out the other way.
Yes, free the dog. Thank you for all the questions, guys. Hopefully we're getting to most of them.
All right, had to let her go. It's all about dogs on this webinar. All right, so what you start to see here is UPC level data for yourself, the sales, the price points, distribution, velocity, et cetera, and then for all of the competitors within the category. It's a huge amount of information that can be really valuable to deep dive, especially when you start to think about your competitive set as you start to think through, if you're trying to get an introduction to an Albertsons or Whole Foods or certain division, what you probably want to do some research on is, okay, well, who are the key players in my category? If I'm organic or I'm a certain alcohol, who's there right now? And then what's their story versus my story? And how do you present that in the right way to help get entry? And this is the type of insight or type of information that you could get from one of these reports.
Okay, two more questions for you. So they're really good ones coming up. One person asked, are brokers or consultants able to sign up for the free reports too? I would assume yes, because there are a lot of people who buy data as well. Is that
Yep. Yeah, so we do allow brokers and consultants to buy. We do have with a lot of consultants kind of like a referral program, because one thing that we don't want to have is a consultant buy access to the data and then just give away all the data. So we do have like sharing restrictions with consultants or referral programs. But yes, we are essentially open for business. You can jump right in and start getting access to data.
Perfect. Yes. So you guys can sign up for the offer. Awesome. And then the second question I think is also a good one where like, okay, like you're giving me 2 shots to fire here. Like, what if I mess up one of them?
Yeah. So not the end of the world. If you have an issue when you're running a report, and this is regardless whether it's part of the free subscription or you go and buy a paid subscription like a starter, you can chat in here and say, I'd like to chat with someone. And so Kathleen and some of our service individuals, just let them know, say, hey, I made some selections here that didn't make sense, or I selected the retailer that I didn't really want to do. Can you give me, essentially that report back or credit, and we'll credit your account. So not a big issue. So don't feel pressure if you select the wrong retailer or the time period, just ping in and we'll take care of it.
Okay, perfect. And then we had a few questions around coverage of like Canada. I don't think you guys do Canada yet through this portal anyways. I know you have data up there. And then there's a question about e-commerce data.
Yep. So we do have some views into some of the grocery stores through their like click and collect or some of their e-commerce. As Nielsen, we have an e-commerce solution that's not yet in Byzzer, which is part of our Rakuten partnership that pulls in a whole panel to view total across the US. So it's not there yet. You can get some reads on e-com through specific retailers in Byzzer, but a total US e-com view, that's another service that Nielsen has, just not yet in Byzzer.
Okay. And then let's see, we got another one. So I think just to confirm for people, you're going to get 2 free reports. When you go through and configure all your selections and hit go, that's your report. You're going to see it, and then you can get weekly email updates on it. So definitely, think about it first. I know probably like you're going to want all the reports, and fair enough. I think that's probably one of the reasons why we get a couple of freebies. So Andrew, another question we had is, once you give us these 2 delicious appetizers, how much is it for the tasting menu, or how the whole,
right.
What is pricing like if people get hooked on the data?
Yeah, so actually when you jump in and sign up, you'll be able to go to the shop and click shop, and there will be a live price for you right there. So you can jump into it. Generally, it's going to be pretty cheap. Now, it varies depending on how many categories you want to have access to. So it will depend on what you want to see. So if you want access to 50 categories, okay, that's going to be a bit more expensive. If it's just a couple categories, it's going to be pretty cheap. It can be a couple hundred or thousand, a month, depending on what you're trying to look at and what package, whether it's starter, essentials, or another package might be. And I'll kind of show you that over here. So we do have a couple different options. Again, I would just say go right into the platform. You'll see your price. But we've got free starter essentials activate. Now free, this is just one report. As part of Startup CPG, we've added more to it. So you get 2 reports and so you get a discount. Starter essentials and activate are those paid subscriptions. And so those are going to give you a certain number of report runs. So starter would be 120 report runs, essentials is 500, activate is 1,000. And you get some more advanced reports on top of that. And we do have some pretty cool analytical capabilities. And I'll give you a little sneak peek to what some of that looks like, which isn't there with the free access that you're getting with Startup CPG, but does take you a step further if you do want to go down a paid route. So what I've shown you to date is what I'll call just more of the table views, brand rankings, item rankings, your category trend. But say you want to go a little bit further and want to look into kind of what's taking place across your business. I call this kind of like the CEO view, which is, what are some of the year-over-year changes in your business? And this is good for like an investor pitch. It's kind of doing like the walk on your business. I'll look at this one across again, total kind of US view, and run this report. But hopefully you see that, as you start to click around, it's pretty intuitive. It doesn't take 20 selections. You don't have to be an analyst to understand how to figure it out. A lot of our legacy systems, even in Nielsen, but I know this is consistent in the industry, even as an analyst for 5 years, you're still going to make mistakes and run reports that, don't make a lot of sense. So we try to take out a lot of that jargon from this.
Perfect. Okay, cool. I just got a question that made me smile because someone, Matt Weiss, was asking if there's panel data as well. And
Great.
I was glad to see that in the audience today, we have 𝗀𝐿𝐵 who was my panel guy, go-to guy at Nielsen that I would go to with my direct request. So Caleb, if you want to join us, you're welcome to come up and talk about it. But I think I have not seen any plans to include panel data, just so people know what that is. Basically, like you can buy an awesome report from 𝗀𝐿𝐵 that will tell you, okay, for, I don't know who the market leaders are in breakfast mix. You probably just showed it and I missed it. But like for those brands, what age group is, over-indexing on buying them, what demographics, what household type, all of these different things. Cool, let me just, oh, here we go. I'm gonna bring up our friend Caleb.
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, hey Caleb.
Cool, I guess I have no camera, which is fine. So
you can enable it if you want, I think.
I'm not seeing it. I see that there's a few panel reports up here, so I'll let our presenter present these, and then we can kind of talk about the next step.
Yeah, so we've got a number of great solutions within Nielsen, so that there's some capabilities with the panel database that we can go into. Now, out of the box for those subscriptions with Nielsen with Byzzer, we do have panel data. So if you go into a starter subscription, this subscription or essentials, any one of those, it will come with access to panel data. Depending on what level, you'll have access to more reports or fewer types of reports. But out of the box, if you went with starter, you would have access to demographic data. So I'll just kind of show you what these look like, which would give you information about who's buying a specific category, household income levels. If you go into the essentials package, you would have access to go into loyalty data. So you could really dig into, what's your customer loyalty specific to your brand, not just the category. And I'll give the example. We're working with a startup called Serenity Kids, which for those who have babies and have like pouches and all that stuff, is an awesome company out there. And as they were digging into this, they, one, had never had access to panel data before. And via Byzzer found out that they were actually a loyalty leader within their category of pouches. And immediately that became the front page of their investor pitch, the front page of their story, going into, I think, some of the Whole Foods conversations and most recently Big Y. So there is a lot of power here to understanding your consumers and then understanding some of that loyalty data, and then even going into some of like the leakage information that you can within Byzzer.
Cool. This is amazing. Super cool. I didn't even know that. That's great. Caleb, we got your video on, but I think you're muted.
Hey.
Yeah, this is super fantastic, no pun intended. So it looks like each report here enables maybe 2 facts and even some really cool stuff like heavy, medium, and light, new loss retain. I'll admit I probably can't give you a new loss retain or a heavy, medium, light quite as efficiently or inexpensively as Andrew can. But yeah, just for those of you on the call, take my contact. One big thing to note about panel data is that sample size is really the most prohibitive thing. So oftentimes what I'd recommend for small startup brands is to take a look at the category and maybe a couple of bigger players that you aspire to emulate or that you think might be a good proxy, especially when looking at like demographics and things, because that's really a great way to kind of get an understanding of how consumers purchase that category, how behaviors affect growth in that category. And once you're fully engrossed in the category and start to see sample size, you might even be able to measure your own brand through these reports here in Byzzer. But if your needs ever kind of outgrow what's available in Byzzer, please feel free to take my contact, add me on LinkedIn, whatever you need to do.
All right.
Caleb is the man here. So he's the guy you want to reach out to. If you've got anything about panel, Caleb is your guy. I highly recommend it.
I totally agree. Caleb, you got to come to one of our Miami meetups pretty soon and bring that guitar and we'll jam out.
Which one? This is so much more zoomed in, but I've actually got.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was misleading over here because, of course, Google Meet doesn't zoom in quite as much.
I love it. Hey, so someone else asked about the panel subscription stuff. I don't know if it was covered in those pricing plans that you just showed, Andrew, like what kind of panel. It would just be like, is it categorized as a report or?
Yep. Yeah. So essentially they're part of the reports. So you'll get access to a lot of shopper reports. So you'll get access to some of the panel reports here. And then within, when you go into your shop, it'll outline exactly what reports are within which subscription. So Starter, as an example, will have access to 4 of these panel reports. So you'd have the shopper demographics by market, by product. You'd have access to a decomp tree. And then Essentials is where you'll have access to like loyalty data and a leakage tree. Those are a bit more advanced. As part of that, it is a bit more premium in cost. Like it is more complex behind the scenes for Nielsen to compute all of that data. So some of those more premium loyalty leakage tree are part of that like next step up, the Essentials package or Activate.
Awesome.
And there was a really good point that Caleb mentioned. As we've worked with a lot of startups, the question on like, can we release your brand level data for your brand? If you're very small, you're just starting out, probably don't have enough coverage statistically to do it. How can you find out? There's a quick way to do this. So when you sign up for free, one of the things you get access to is this portfolio page. I definitely recommend you jump into this right off the bat. So I'll click the portfolio. Really cool stuff that you can do here. So I will type in, birch benders, and you can run this on as many times as you want. It's not about looking at data and numbers and facts, but it's just going to give you a quick view, like what are the standings within Nielsen's data? Like maybe you've never played with retail measurement data before. So I look at birch benders, what are the top 10 markets for my brand that I've got within Nielsen data? I can see Walmart's #1, Whole Foods. What are the top 10 categories that I'm playing in? And then I could drill into like, let's look up the category that I do play in. What are the top brands? I'm not going to give you specific dollar numbers here. You could do that on a report, but kind of a quick view into the landscape.
You can do this without running the report. You can do this.
Oh yeah,
that's amazing because
it's
even
open.
Like, when I use the big tool, I have to like run one report.
Yeah, you have to run a bunch of reports.
I want to run. That's awesome.
And the idea here is we wanted, as a startup or small business, there's a barrier to understanding how to even get some of these insights. But just quickly getting to just, hey, give me a quick like rankings view of what's going on in the world that I play in. And then lastly, really important one here is this bottom section, panel releasability. So, something that we were just talking about. One, is there enough representation of this category within the panel? For a total category level, yes, green, you meet the recommended sample. But now I can type in, birch benders and find out, can I release some of these categories? And you'll see some of them are in green, but some of them are in red, right? They're saying not releasable. So when you go into the loyalty report, some of these will be restricted because statistically there's not enough household panel to represent your brand. Obviously, as you get bigger, then that goes up. But I can already see, I can jump in and do some panel reports that would be pretty valuable. And then lastly, I think a big question that always comes up with companies is just, hey, Nielsen, what products do you have with mine? Like, what does my coding look like? Do you have the right definitions of my UPCs and things like that? I can click that search products. Again, this is all part of the free subscription. And I could type in a brand here, birch benders, and hit this refresh and pink up here. And this is going to give you a really quick view into a snapshot of all the UPCs that we have for your brand coded within Nielsen. So now I'm looking at birch benders and I can see all the UPCs. I can see how they're coded to brand and manufacturer, subcategory, category, all the way up to department, and a couple key facts. So it gives you a quick view into what products do we have, and maybe there was something that was a legacy UPC that got recoded to something, and you need to request a change, or that's like out of date, which definitely happens. Then there's also a product coding form that you can submit those changes into Nielsen, on the fly. And then every 2 weeks, we're making updates to the database, and we're evaluating those from a governance standpoint. So there's a very fast, what I'll call iterative engagement for the SMB market that didn't exist before and doesn't exist with other competitors, because we historically focused on the big players. But now we're able to kind of do a lot of real-time, real engagement with you guys, via this platform.
It's super cool. And was anyone else going crazy not knowing what Birch Benders is? I just finally Googled it. Maybe you can't see it, but
they're super. I mean, they're in Whole Foods. They got frozen waffles. I like them, but they're
I don't know why I'm just desperate for Birch Benders now. After all this data, it's just my mouth is watering. A few people asked about other categories that I think we don't cover through Nielsen, but human performance and longevity. So sort of limitless. I don't know if that's a brand, or the home diagnostics, skincare people asked about.
Yep.
I think pretty much just we're talking food and beverage, right?
So there will be supplements and things like that. So I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like. When you first log into Byzzer, one of the first pages you're going to be brought to is this set up your package, which is really saying, hey, select your categories. By default, when you sign up, you're going to get one category for free. You can add on more categories with a package. You could have, again, like I said, 5, 10, but you'll be quickly brought into this screen, which is saying like, hey, which categories matter to you? You can type in your brand, no harm, no foul. I'm gonna type in Birch Benders, and it will automatically start to show you, hey, what are the categories that Nielsen has coded for you? So I can see that I'm in breakfast mix. I can see that I've got cookie mix, some other categories here, and I can see what's relevant to me. Very quickly by just typing in your brand, and you can pick your one category or multiple. You can also go into the category structure by just toggling, and so you can see that we've got data, alcohol, some automotive components, some cleaning, baby gear, deli, floral, grocery, and then there will be some stuff around personal care, pet care, produce, and so in some of this personal care, I think that's where we'll start to get into some of those different topics like we were talking about, and we do have a bucket around like supplements and things like that.
Oh, cool. Okay, great to know.
You can type in what you're looking for. So supplements is in healthcare, and we've got digestive, sleep aids, herbal supplements, etc.
Cool. And someone asked about the time periods that you can select from. Is it like sort of latest periods and that kind of category year-long view you showed, or do you have access to prior years?
Yep, you've got access to 3 years of data. You can have those quick selections that's like, show me the last 52 year to date, or you can go and set up a custom time period, which is just, hey, I want to look at 26 weeks starting 3 months ago or something like that. You can do all of that within Nielsen. So you're in the driver's seat, you've got the flexibility as far as periods. The other thing I'll just kind of highlight while questions are coming in, there's one more component that you get for free that we haven't highlighted, Daniel. It's pretty cool. So it's this last one here called brand scorecards. So when you come in, you'll see this page here. You can type in your brand as well as any brand for the one category that you have access to, or if you buy multiple, you get multiple categories. I'll click breakfast mix. And what this will do is we've just launched a patent pending model here called brand scorecards that scores your brand and some key functions, components of it based on the category market. And then it's a kind of rank, kind of comparing yourself on a 600-point scale. And you'll get a grade, A through F, essentially saying, are you best in class? How do you compare? And so this is a 600-point scale. Think of it similar to like a credit score. Like, what's the health of your business performance as it pertains to your assortment? So where you're selling, how are you doing? Your pricing, could you be better at your pricing? Your promotions, could you be more optimal? And then some of your new product entries into the marketplace, how are they doing relative to that segment? So this overall score is going to be available to everyone when you come in. So you can see your score out of 600 points. And then you can also look at this and say like, all right, well, I want to see how am I doing just within Whole Foods? And again, you could do this for free. I'll spin this and see a different grade specifically for Whole Foods. And now if you want to, there's packages here that we offer that are actually pretty affordable for the small clients to go in and say, okay, well, tell me what to do. I see that I'm a C in, Whole Foods. I want to improve. Show me some details about how I can improve. And so you can get a better view into the efficiencies, either promotion or assortment, thresholds, all the way to an action plan. And then the action plan will give you a modeled recommendation that we have within Nielsen. So it'll actually tell you what to do at a UPC or PPG level, which is pretty powerful. And normally only the big guys would have access to that, right? And it would be a ton of work to get a recommendation actually from a modeled report. And I'll just show you while this loads here what that would look like. Now, as that's going, I did want to show you just the how to sign up. Because here's the run report. So this is an example for birch vendors, Albertsons specifically for a specific product. We can see recommendations on what's the best in-store tactic, and we're also finding out that hey, the way that you're promoting or the way that your assortment is set up, there's a more optimal price point, and you could gain $40,000 just within Albertsons. And here's the recommendation coming from Nielsen. So you can go all the way from a score to a very specific recommendation for your business on what to do in a really simple environment. Now, I did want to log out because I actually want to show you part of that sign up flow. I just want to kind of show you what this will look like. So for those of you who click the sign up, you're going to go through an experience that looks like this. And I'm just going to put in here, Andrew. We'll give it a little test here. And I'm going to put in here a email address. So you'll go through these key steps here, and you'll enter in your phone number, company name, your password, and then what Byzzer is going to take you through is first validate that you're actually from that email address. So when you go to sign up at byzzer.com and the CPG page, you're going to go through, verify they're actually from that email address. If you ever have an issue at any point, you can chat right in and pretty quickly. You'll get a response here if you have an issue. Then once you get verified, it's going to say, hey, head to the shop. You'll go to the shop. And then from there, you can select the free package. And then you'll enter a discount code. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. So I just want to quickly show that, Daniel, while
Yeah, show us the discount code. A few people said they were only seeing one free report in their account. So we'll get that fixed on the back end if it is still like that, but let's make sure it's not about putting in that the code.
Yep. Yeah, so you should see, I'll go back over here. Let's see if we got, if I click here. All right, so it's gonna take me to the same sign up page. So what you would do is you would sign up here. I'll jump into the shop just to show you what this looks like. So I will click sign in. It should be available within this. If not, what we could do is I'll just send out the, if we haven't sent it already, if you guys haven't seen it, we'll send out the discount code. I don't think I have it on mine, but right here in the platform, because it's logging me right back in as myself.
I think the discount code is in the Byzzer login page. It was at the bottom there. It had the promo code, the startup CPG one. So use that, but we'll send it out again just to make sure that people have access to it. If you're asking about, a few people asked about recordings. We'll post this on the Startup CPG Slack. If you're not on it, you just go to startupcpg.com and click on the Slack link. You don't need software or anything, but we'll post it in the announcements there just so how everybody has access to it. Anything else that you guys wanted to cover? I know we just have a minute or two left, so I want to make sure we are respectful of everyone's time. Andrew, anything you think that is like just absolutely critical that people know, or do you want to just tell us why you guys picked the name Byzzer?
Yeah. So I'll just kind of close it with, and again, I'll pull up the CPG code here in a second. That one, there's absolutely only benefit to signing up for free, like via the Startup CPG code, right? You're going to get access to this partnership to a bit more data. you're going to get free alerts. You're going to get some free reports. You're going to see a brand scorecard. All of that is just to help kind of bridge the gap to, there is a lot of value to understanding some of the data, leveraging it to tell your story into retail, tell your story into your investors, tell how you're different too, because a lot of it is, you know, a lot of startups I think are transforming their categories or entirely breaking into new categories. There's a lot that you can use here to tell that story about how you're not just like, you know, pancake mix. You know, maybe you're the keto version of pancake mix and that's growing, you know, 100% year over year versus just standard pancakes are kind of, you know, declining or something like that. So that's ability to gather some data and tell it very concretely is huge. And we're all about helping make that really easy for you in Byzzer. We want it to be simple and intuitive and want to do it, you know, at a point or price point that works. And you'll see that when you go into the shop, that it's way more affordable than if you ever have reached out in the past.
Amazing. Well, hey, thank you so much. Guys, I'm going to close us out, but you know, I think we can keep the discussion going on the Startup CPG Slack. If you guys have, you know, more questions, maybe post them there, and I bet I can probably tag most of them. Caleb, thank you for joining us. It was good to see you. Nice surprise, Caleb, my go-to panel guy from when I used to. But I mean, I just want to echo, the data is key. The data will just, I mean, show any kind of audience you're talking to that you do know what you're talking about, that you come in not just wide-eyed with hopes and dreams about your brand, but you understand why it's a big opportunity and what you're going to have to do to compete. That, like, when I go into meetings with buyers, I am just serving whole heapings full of data before they even try the product, because I want to build up the story before they even get to experience it, and it creates the right, I think, context for them to understand what you've got. So we'll follow up with you guys just in case the pre-reports aren't all loading in there. We'll make sure that it does. I see there's some questions about it, but either way, you can already run the first one and then we'll get the other one. Thank you everybody for all of the engagement and questions. And we'll see you guys all again soon.
Great.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Caleb.
Cheers.
Dan.